Just love him. Kathy St. George is an Italian.
Yeah.
She was a centerfold, and I didn't know she was Italian. You know,
Yeah.
Kathy St. George. You
Right.
know, it's like doesn't sound Italian at all. But she was a spicy meatball too. I love Italian gals. So tell me, what what's your name?
Okay.
Right? She should tell us the right pronunciation of your name.
Dina Di Mambro.
Dina Di Mambro. Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Dina Di
And
Mambro.
Sharon Farrell. We're
Sharon
on the
Farrell.
Method Actor Speaks. And today we're going to talk to a writer who, and the book is right there. Sharon, if you want to hold it.
Oh, this is great.
And I got a feeling you know
True
some of the
Hollywood
people.
Noir.
So
you
let me
see
get
it?
a close-up on that. There we go.
In a tantalizing, suspenseful, and entertaining mixture of classic Hollywood nostalgia and true crime, explore some of the fascinating scandals, mysteries, and murder in filmland history. True Hollywood noir, lived by the players behind the scenes.
Okay.
Visitors were captivated by the drama of the black and white masterpiece of the silver screen.
Now, what made you write this book? Why did you want to write this book?
My two great loves are mysteries and classic films. And I've been writing about classic films since I was a teenager.
Really?
Long time. So I did a story on my website about William Desmond Taylor, a director in 1922. And his murder remains unsolved to this day.
Ooh, unsolved. I've got it right here. William Desmond Taylor, the unsolved murder, 1922.
And there were all kinds of women involved. And, you know, we had a mother, a daughter, another lady who was the last known person to see him alive, an actress named Mabel Norman. They found lingerie in his apartment. Then the studio came and cleaned everything
Studio
up.
cover-up, it says that.
Yeah, and which they did, you'll find in a lot of these stories. And I think that's something that's very different today. We're really quick to tear people down, but in those days they wanted to keep the image. They wanted to cover stuff up. They hid things. And so when I wrote that story, I had so much fun with it. I had the idea to do a book of a lot of the unsolved or murders and mysteries of the noir age. You know, and some of them are even past the noir age, but it's from the 20s to 2001, a lot of the mysteries.
The noir age, so the people out there understand what that means. What is that?
Well,
What's the meaning of that?
she's got a thing about anatomy.
Well, I want to know what the meaning of that word.
Noir?
Yes.
Film noir means black film in French, and it's the black, the movies like Laura, Casablanca, Postman Always Rings Twice,
Right.
the use of the shadows, the mystery. Noir, film noir. So that's why I called it True Hollywood Noir, because really these people's lives...
John, there's a picture of you in here.
I know.
Yeah, I interviewed John.
Oh my God.
Yeah, for Robert Blake chapter.
Let her finish, please.
Sorry.
Well, it was that time. It was the mysteries and what was going on behind the scenes. They couldn't have made that up. Truth is stranger than fiction. So we have a lot of different stories in there.
The one that interests me the most is about Mickey Cohen.
Yes.
Now, first of all, Mickey Cohen. Sharon was around when he was still alive.
I didn't ever meet him though. I just know him through my agent,
Yeah,
Stephen Senior, who was blacklisted because he knew him and he
Right.
looked up to him. He was a little kid and he had no money. And Mickey Cohen, I don't know, he had somebody who liked him and dragged him around all these places and restaurants and stuff. And
Well, what
just
interests me about
suppressed.
Mickey Cohen was that he had two things going against him. First of all, he was the wrong blood, meaning he wasn't Italian,
Right.
and he was Jewish and short, and he always had to prove himself. That was his thing. So Mickey Cohen was really a very violent guy because he had to be, because he had to prove himself all the time, from when he was a little kid back in New York and all that.
And you'll get those stories in my chapter, but because I interviewed his right-hand man, a man who knew him better than anyone, they were like family.
Right.
And he talked about his humor. He talked about the work he did for charity that people don't know about. And there was, we're not all black and white. We're not all one way or the other. He was he did, and that is in that book. But as well as of course the crimes and everything.
Well, yeah.
But
Well, Al Capone had a soup kitchen.
yeah,
You know.
that's true. Well,
So-
Yeah, and he helped a little girl that was dying. Jim Smith, who was Mickey Cohen's right-hand man, told me the story of a little girl whose mother was a shill in Vegas, which was somebody that brought guys to the table.
Right.
And she had a 4 or 5 year old little girl, and that little girl had incurable disease. And Mickey had just gotten out of jail, and he called people in the newspaper world. He got all the mobsters together, and they paid this little girl's hospital bill. They came and visited her every day. All the mobsters would come with teddy bears and toys, and and they really helped this little girl, and she lived. And they got her into Children's Hospital when here in Los Angeles, but they flew her from Vegas, and so that was just one of the good things that he did.
Yeah. I wonder how many movies made it from that. That idea.
Well, there was one that happened way before that. What was it, The Lemon Drop Kid, or Shirley Temple? And,
right.
Yeah, there was that sort of a kind of a little kid in the gangster thing, but this was a true story, and it happened much, much later, like in the early 70s.
But yeah, Mickey Cohen, he did a lot of good, but what I'm just trying to say, his background.
Oh, yeah.
Being Jewish, and that's what I meant by the wrong blood.
But you know what? He was raised Italian. That's what Jim told me.
Right,
he said he was raised by Italians. He learned to love the food and the way of dressing and the way of carrying himself. And in a lot of ways, he was like an Italian. He even hung out with Italians when he was a little kid.
Well, they want to be Italian,
Yeah.
but that's what I meant by the wrong blood.
Yeah.
And he knew that. Mm-hmm. And he always had to compensate for that.
Yeah.
And be a little tougher.
Kill some people.
Well, if you had to, you had to.
Well,
I mean, those days,
if you listen to Cohen,
okay.
if you listen to
That's a workman that just went downstairs.
I mean,
if you listen to Cohen and Jim Smith, it was like, well, he didn't go around killing people in the street.
No,
It was
a
all
business.
in the mob
Bad
world.
guys.
In
like-
the business,
it was
yeah.
a business, and that's what it was.
I think he even said on an interview that he didn't kill anyone who didn't deserve it.
Right, yeah.
There's a tape of him in the 50s saying that. Thanks.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it was a different era.
Yeah.
You kill people that if they're handcuffed for it, that's what you did.
But
Today,
there-
unfortunately, we can't do that. I mean, I wish we could.
I know.
Be a
There's
lot
some
better
people I would
world.
like to kill. I would like to kill them, but you can't even waste your time with any kind of hatred or.
Because it turns in
bitter-
on you.
Yeah, it turns in on you, and it's like it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
And it's amazing though, because sometimes you think, oh, I'd like to kill that person.
In the book, there, do you have a favorite or?
I
the
think
least
Mickey
favorite?
Cohen was, because there were so many things that have been unpublished about him,
Right.
and I got it because of this interview, and which I'm very grateful for, and so I was able to get things that there have been all kinds of books on Cohen, but not this information.
Not this of me. Yeah.
Well,
okay.
there was the murder also of somebody named Meatball Gamson that has always been unsolved, and Jim told me, well, Mickey did that. So there's
it's not unsolved anymore. Because
well,
he's the one that did it.
he was told that he did it, so it's this
It's
was been
hearsay.
before, yeah. But still, people always wondered, and so you got that. And then I have a lot of stuff about Bugsy Siegel, because Mickey Cohen was Siegel's right-hand man. So stuff that Jim had heard over the years
Yeah.
about Siegel.
Can you talk a little bit about Bugsy?
Yeah, he
Who didn't like to be called
Warren
that name?
Beatty played him in a
He
movie.
did, and
Yeah.
and Jim says that was pretty much fiction. The way they even showed
Well,
him die, and he says he was playing Warren Beatty. It wasn't really Siegel. That's
Well,
what
it's
Jim said. And
Hollywood, I guess.
Yeah, and he says that sometimes it's like they take too much license with that stuff. But he had been, I guess, skimming money from the Flamingo,
Right.
and then they finally got him.
Well, he was warned.
Really was.
Yeah, he
skimming
was
money.
warned.
Maya
yeah.
Lansky all the time said, listen, you can't do this, but he
You can't have
he
warrant.
read his own reviews out here.
Yeah.
And once you read your own reviews, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so,
If you don't understand what I mean, that means he thought he was untouchable.
yes.
Oh.
You know,
he
it's
could
like a
really-
fighter. I see fighters when they start reading their reviews and they slack in training, they always lose. And throughout history, they've always lost, and yet the next guy thinks he can get away with it.
Can you, what boxer did that? What,
I mean, a lot of fights. I'm just giving you an analogy.
I was just wondering if there was one.
You know, and it's like him. He knew the rules going in.
Well, one thing, I think Siegel knew something was going down because he asked Mickey, you know, get some guns, get some armament. I think something's happening here. But the very next day, you know, through his window, his living room window, they got him. And there was a guy with him named Alan Smiley, and Siegel was on the couch with the Los Angeles Times, of course, and then they shot him through the eyes. And that's in The Godfather, when you see Mo Green get shot, that's kind of what they based that on, you know, right through the glasses in The Godfather. But there was this guy, and a lot of people said this Smiley guy was in on it, and Jim just started to laugh. He says, you'd have to know him, and I did. He was a very nervous guy. He would not be sitting on the couch if he knew carbine rifle shots were going to come through the window.
He would be there.
He said he didn't know anything. He was just somebody who hung around with him, and, you know.
Yeah, you had them wannabes.
Yeah.
You know, there's an actor out there, what's his name, Siegel. He likes to be called Seagal.
Oh.
You know.
Steven Seagal.
Yeah,
Steven
yeah.
Seagal?
I call him Steven Seagal. You know, and you could hear that it's me, John Solari, saying that. When he was hanging out with the wise guys in Brooklyn, until one day, and all of a sudden, you know, he really wanted to. He even named his kids Italian names. You know, and then one day, you know, he started ratting on them because they got, you know, he turned on. As soon as the bitch came right out of him. When the pressure came down, I had no respect for the man. He's a degenerate.
This is Bugsy, or is this?
No, this is
Steven
Seagal.
Well, I heard that he was made a star on a bet. That some big agent
I
said,
wasn't
I
familiar
can
with
make
him.
him a star.
I wouldn't be
you know?
surprised.
And
He's a sheriff down south now or something. Anyway, let's get back.
You know, Mickey Cohen's tied in with another chapter in that book, and that's the chapter about Lana Turner, her daughter Cheryl Crane, and Johnny Stompanato.
Yeah.
You know, and Johnny Stompanato was a friend of Mickey Cohen's.
Yeah.
So he was, if you know the story, it's Cheryl Crane was 14, and Lana Turner had claimed that Johnny Stompanato was threatening her and beating her, and then the daughter supposedly came upstairs holding a knife because she heard this, and he opened the door, and she said he had the cleaning over, so his arm was raised, and he just walked into the knife. That's what she says.
Yeah.
But for years there's been speculation that Lana Turner did it herself.
Yeah, they covered it up.
Yeah.
I
And that
wouldn't be
they
surprised.
said...
take a lot of guts to stab somebody like that.
Yeah, and
how
walking into a
That's
knife...
like...
A
You know,
woman
you have
angry?
to go through clothes and everything. It's
A
like
woman
it's hard
angry?
to get. You have to really.
Yeah, well, and then,
God,
but
so
see,
close.
this story, all these years, everyone has said, "Oh, Johnny Stompanato was horrible. He beat women." Well, I did a lot of research on Stompanato. I talked to a woman who worked for the family and knew both his wives. I talked to his first wife. She's still alive. She's over 95 years old.
Wow.
I talked to his son, and Jim Smith, again, who also knew Johnny Stompanato. He was just a kid, and he looked up to Stompanato, and he said, you know, he wasn't like the way they portrayed him all these decades. He wasn't the type to beat a woman. Mickey Cohen frowned on any kind of violence towards women, and those guys didn't. That's just not something that, he says, now you don't know what goes on in the privacy between a man and a woman, but he says, I just don't believe it. He never hurt he dated Janet Leigh, he never hurt her.
Why would Lana Turner get so mad at him?
Well, I don't know.
I bet he tried to fool around with her daughter.
Or maybe she thought that. Maybe, you know, I don't know
I mean, what
happened.
would make a woman just so angry?
And the other thing, they did a test. They did like a civil suit later, and they said he was probably laying down. So the man was probably asleep. The Mickey Cohen always thought that that he was asleep. And there was also something else strange. Is Betty Davis and Gary Merrill went to rent a house in Beverly Hills, and they said they went through. The house looked familiar to them. It turned out it was Lana Turner's house where the murder took place. And they said that there was a bloody mattress in the garage. I mean,
Did
just
they rent that place?
I'm sure it's been rented and lived in since.
Oh, I meant,
but,
I
no,
meant-
did Betty Davis? No, they said,
they
let's get
found
the
it
hell out of
later
here.
or something?
Gary Merrill in his book said, let's get the hell out of here.
Because they went into the garage and they saw that mattress.
Yeah, and see people, you know, they thought that Lana Turner, Jerry Giesler was the attorney for Lana Turner, and Jim says that Mickey went to the house and he said, you know, we don't have to ruin Lana's life. You know, we can, so the thought was, let this kid take the rap for it. Now, Cheryl Crane to this day insists that she did it. She will not say that she didn't do it.
Oh.
She still insists, but there's too many things, I think, that point to other things.
And
There
it
was
doesn't-
Well, no matter what, he's dead and gone, and
And
Yeah.
it keeps her out there too by saying she did it, because they can never prove it. And
Yeah.
it would
Lana
hurt her
Turner
mother's
still-
legacy.
No, Lana Turner died in 1995. Cheryl Crane writes mystery books now, and good ones, and she insists. There was a personal assistant of Lana Turner's who said she admitted. She said, I killed the son of a bitch and I'd do it again. You know.
wait, a housekeeper said that?
Yeah, a male companion of hers.
Said that he did it.
No,
that Lana Turner told her, I killed the son of a bitch and I'd do it again.
Oh.
Now, whether, you know, he's just saying that or whether Eric Root is his name, but he says she admitted it. And Cheryl Crane and Eric Root have been, you know, kind of arguing about this. But
the daughter says she sticks to her
she
story.
sticks to her story. She
loved
does.
her mama.
But there's a lot of, and you know what? She left all her money to the housekeeper and left the daughter $50,000. Can you believe that?
So why would the daughter lie?
Yeah, it's just
You
just
know,
a mystery.
why would she lie? Because I mean, if Lana Turner
It
left
keeps
all
the mystery
money,
going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Think
well,
about it. It keeps the mystery going.
And she writes
She
mysteries.
writes books.
Oh, she right. Okay.
Keeps her name out
Keeps
there.
it-
See, she can go on
Possibly.
television and get, yeah, I did it. Everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear, I didn't do it.
Yeah. Then there's.
Think
But
about
everyone
that.
says, you know, he was a Marine. He wasn't, you know,
He was a Marine.
Stompanato at one
Something.
time. Yeah. And he was apparently very gentle with his wives. I mean, there's no evidence that he ever did this to anybody else. So there's just something off there.
Yeah, most wise guys are they don't hit women and this and that.
Lana Turner was such a
Very
soft,
gentle.
beautiful actress.
Well,
I
that
just
was on screen. You have no
never
idea.
seen her like in any role like flip out.
Speaking
you
of
know?
soft and
Maybe
green,
she-
you have Natalie Wood there, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Natalie?
she's got. Oh yeah, she does.
What about Natalie?
Natalie Wood, they've reopened the case.
I heard they did it, and then I've heard that.
I'm
It's
friends with
reopened.
Lana Wood on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
She's
supposed
so
to come on the
sweet.
show
Yes.
here.
Oh, I hope
Oh,
she
that would
does.
be wonderful.
I hope she does. She's lovely.
She said yes, and then I haven't heard.
Well,
from
we
her.
just have to. You know what we have to do is we got to call her.
Well, let's
back
talk a
and-
little bit about her sister.
Okay, Natalie Wood, of course, that whole thing has been a mystery, and a lot of people say
They were all drunk,
They
you
were
know?
all drunk. There was some kind of
Stoned.
love triangle going on. And I researched it very carefully, and there's a captain who came out later, Dennis DeVerne, who was paid by Robert Wagner to be captain of the boat and to keep the ship up and all that, and he became like a friend of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And right after the drowning, Wagner sort of took DeVerne in, and got him jobs as an extra and helped him out, and then all of a sudden, years later, this guy keeps changing his story. He says that he saw them arguing, and 1 minute she was there, and 1 minute she's not. This is after he went under hypnosis 20 some odd years later. He said this. So, I think that he was very bitter over the loss of the friendship more than the money. I really think that was it.
The captain, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
So the captain's keeping that one alive,
Yes, he is, and
so he can get interviewed.
Yeah, but
Oh, boy.
with Natalie Wood, I do think that it was ultimately an accident. I don't think it was anything that
I
was
think it was, too.
premeditated. I don't know that I believe the story that she went to tie the dinghy up because she heard it pounding against the boat. She was so afraid of the water.
Right.
I mean, so she was afraid of it from the time she was a little girl.
Yeah.
A gypsy even warned her mother, and that's how I started the story about drowning. And the mother always thought it was her, but it would be her daughter that would.
Oh my goodness.
So this and all
what happened? A gypsy? What happened?
the gypsy talked to Natalie Wood's mother, and told her a story about, you got to watch out for water, watch out for drowning. And her mother Maria,
She thought it was her.
But it turned out to be, and she was always afraid of it. In most of her movies, Splendor in the Grass, a movie called The Star, they always put her in the water, and she was just terrified of it. So I don't see her going out in her
How
socks
in the world
and her
would she
nightgown.
want to have a boat and go back?
Her
and forth
husband
again?
wanted to do it. She said, I remember an interview.
Oh, well, women, we do anything these men want us to do.
She
We
said she
just-
liked being on the water, but not in it or near it. But she liked
Oh.
being on, in a boat. But
I like to. I used to think I wanted that, and I get out there and the wind, and I mean, you're just trying to it's just awful. It's nice to look at them in a distance. That's wonderful, but to be on a sailboat is just the worst.
And with the
or a
Natalie,
Hobie cat.
with the Natalie Wood story, I don't know that I really believe that anyone's telling the whole truth.
No.
Well, they were probably so drunk and stoned they don't really remember, and they
He
were
may
all
not
probably
remember.
sleeping. And
I mean, how many hours it took to report her missing?
well, they didn't know what to do. They got scared.
Yeah.
They had to come up with a story that
it's-
sounded right. Instead of just telling the truth, they made up a story, which is probably, it was an accident, like you said, I believe. But all the makeup, that stories, which
And
makes it
now
look
they've
bad.
decided that the bruises that were on her body might have been like defensive bruises, not bruises from falling into the water. This is something that
Yeah,
just
you wouldn't
came
get
up with.
bruised. You wouldn't get bruised falling into
Or
water.
even if you hit the boat on
Unless
the
you're
way.
trying to get in and you keep getting knocked about or
Right,
something. I don't
but-
know.
Could have been, who knows? And I doubt if we'll ever
But
know.
but I do think that ultimately it was an accident. I just don't believe that that she went out there to tie the dinghy. I don't. But that's just my personal opinion.
And
And
who
I-
knows?
Well, you wouldn't
explored.
want to go off out to sea.
Yeah.
And if she thought there was a chance of that,
There were people that heard screams, and the police didn't pay attention to that at the time. A woman screaming for help. So there were a lot of reasons that they reopened this case.
Is this, was this recent? Because I remember reading
A
it
year
back
ago.
a year
Wagner's
ago.
such a sweetheart. I worked with him, and he was just so nice, and he just adored women. I mean,
That's why
and
I
also,
think it was an accident.
and also the other guy,
Christopher
Walken.
too, Christopher Walken. There's just such kind of soft guys. I just.
But that's what some people thought. They were soft guys.
Oh, you think that they're like it says. Oh no!
I explore each theory in my book. I research each theory as carefully as I can, and I kind of like the reader to make up their own
and
mind.
Wagner was very jealous, I guess, huh? He was a very jealous guy. That's funny because he went.
They were arguing. A lot of people saw them arguing on the island. When they would go to dinner and they were drinking a lot. And I think that they say he was kind of the jealous type. He was jealous of Warren Beatty, of course, when their first marriage broke up. And,
probably jealous of his career.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
And who else in there? Did you
She's
see
got-
any?
She's got
George.
she's
Reeves.
got
Who?
Robert Blake.
Well, we don't need to go into that one.
Oh,
Maybe
she's
next.
got
Maybe the
Gig
next
Young.
episode.
Gig Young.
Gig
Gig
Young.
Young was an interesting story.
Do you remember what happened to Gig Young?
No, I didn't even know he was.
Didn't-
I didn't even know. I met his wife his ex-wife one time.
Sky
His
Aubrey?
ex-wife.
No. Oh, Elaine Young.
Elaine Young.
Yeah.
I met her.
Yeah, he was married to Elizabeth Montgomery, and he was married to Elaine Young. And I interviewed a woman named Sky Aubrey, an actress, lovely actress, who lived with him, with Gig Young, for a year. And what happened with Gig Young is he married a woman about 30 years old, and
And he was older, right?
well, quite a bit older. And they were only married a short time, and they found it looked like a murder-suicide, that he had shot this young woman and then killed himself.
Really?
Yeah, so, and he was known to be an alcoholic. He had a terrible
Yeah.
problem, but there wasn't a drop of alcohol in his system, which
Really?
is strange. The woman, Sky Aubrey, told me, Gig hated guns. He didn't want anything to do with them. If he had a part where he had to shoot a gun, he couldn't stand it. He didn't want anything to do with guns. When she got one for protection, he made her take it to the police station. Didn't want it around. Yet they found all these guns and ammunition in the apartment. So, and she also said that they found them like in the bathroom together, and she said he was always in there alone. He didn't want
So
anyone
he was
in there.
claustrophobic and never dressed in the bathroom.
Right.
And they found them both in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And his tie was untied.
And the groceries were still in front of the door. They had groceries delivered, apparently, and they were still in front of the door. And so that's kind of a mystery. Sky Aubrey thinks that there was some kind of mob thing in this
Really, a
young
mob thing? Why
She-
mob?
Because she said that the young woman was involved with the Canadian mafia or something.
Oh,
That's her
drugs
story.
or something?
I don't know what.
Canadian mafia.
Well,
Never
they
even
do
heard.
have they
Yeah.
do have up there.
This was this lady's opinion, and of course it went
Well,
down
Sky,
as a murder.
you know who her father was, right?
Yes,
Oh, who's her father?
He was the head of
James Aubrey, the head of CBS.
he was the head of
Oh
CBS.
my golly!
And her mother is Phyllis Thaxter.
Oh my gosh, she's a wonderful actress. I
she
used
was
to love
wonderful.
her.
Yeah.
Well, here's a picture of Sky, and she's beautiful.
Yeah, I know Sky. I met her
Wonderful
many years
name.
ago.
I like that name.
Yeah, Sky Aubrey.
It's like a great name. Yeah.
She's very, she's very recluse today. I mean,
Yeah.
she was very outgoing many years ago. I don't know whatever happened. I tried to get in
Bob
touch with her.
Crane.
Oh.
That was like boy, that one was he died and nobody knew what happened.
Yeah, he was found bludgeoned to death in
Bludgeoned.
Scottsdale, Arizona. He was doing a play called Beginner's Luck, and they found him, bludgeoned to death with a cord around his neck, and all kinds of pornographic pictures of himself and movies and tapes with all these women, before anyone even heard of sex tapes.
Yeah.
Oh, he was doing it.
Yeah.
He was before his time.
Yeah, and so they
Oh
found
my
all this stuff, and then the first thought was, a jealous boyfriend, husband. But he had a friend named John Carpenter who got him in this whole video thing.
He was a
And-
sex addict, huh?
Yeah, I think definitely. And John Carpenter would go along with him when he would do these plays, and he would get the leftover women. So he was involved in these kind of pornographic
Sloppy
things.
seconds,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and they were seen arguing in a restaurant the night before, and he said, I guess that Bob Crane was like, I don't want to do this anymore. He told his son, this is getting to be a pain. So he was about to cut this guy off from the celebrity, from the women, from the partying. And and then they actually brought him up for trial. The murder happened in '78. I think it was '92. They brought he was put on trial, but the DNA, it was too old. Even though they found Bob Crane had a rare blood type, B positive, and they found his tissue a little bit of tissue that matched the crime scene in the door jamb of the car that Carpenter had rented. So I mean, that was connecting the crime scene with Carpenter, but they were never. And Carpenter is dead now, but he never would admit that he killed. He always denied that he murdered Bob Crane.
And he got off.
Yes, he did.
There's no prosecution. What? Joan Bennett. Who shot her?
Nobody shot her. Her husband shot her lover.
Her husband shot her lover.
So
Joan
this was
Bennett
in
didn't-
1950.
Oh my gosh.
1951, I think. Joan Bennett, one of the glamorous Bennett sisters.
The
great
shot that
actress.
killed a film career.
Yeah, with
Whoa.
she and her sister Constance were famous. She was married
Yeah,
to
I
Walter
remember
Wanger, who produced Cleopatra and a bunch of other movies. I Want to Live with Susan Hayward. Okay, the story is that Wanger had pretty much fooled around on her from the beginning, and she started a love affair with her agent Jennings Lang. But
James Lang.
Yes, and Wanger was so jealous, and he knew her car was in the parking lot of MCA, where Jennings Lang worked, and those two were in the car. Some say something was going on in the car. I think that around 5 o'clock, when everyone's leaving work, I don't think you'd be involved in heavy sexual activity in a car, but who knows? No. Anyway, he came up and he shot Jennings Lang in a place that no man wants to be shot.
Oh no, he did? Right in the groin?
And the police station was across the street. They just came right over, and Wanger said, I just killed the son of a bitch who's trying to break up my home. Or I just shot him, sorry, I didn't kill him. So
You didn't kill him?
No.
Did
And
he get off? 'Cause
he only went to jail for a few months.
that's all I'm
Yeah,
gonna say.
it was that's
Crime
what
of
that's
passion.
how he did.
So the guy didn't die.
The guy didn't die. He dropped the whole thing. He just wanted it to go away. And then he later married a beautiful actress named Monica Lewis. And she said,
Now,
I can
who
assure you,
married?
James Lang, after, they were both married, his wife died.
But he was shot in the groin.
She said it was in the inner thigh, that he was fine. It was like, she said, I can assure, and he fathered a child after that. So I guess everything
was. He was lucky. Was he lucky or
but,
what?
I mean, now you could you put that on the screen? That's why I'm saying these stories are more fascinating than some of the plots of the movies.
It's true. And that's